Hey, Mikey, gather your wits and steel yourself, for I have a plethora of spine-tingling jokes to rattle your bones. Let's kick off this speed joking session, shall we?
I don't know if I'm ready, but let's just get it done with.
Excellent. Brace yourself for these terrifyingly punny jokes.
No pun intended.
Here we go. What's the most popular dating app for skeletons in 2024? The Bone Zone. Why don't witches have babies? Their husbands have crystal balls. What? That is pretty funny.
That was good.
What did the vampire say to the teacher? I'll see you next period. What is Dracula's porn star name?
Oh, gosh. What?
Vlad the Impaler. Oh, wait till this last one.
Oh, my gosh.
What do vampires use to make tea? Use tampons, of course.
Gross. Oh, my goodness.
So what do you think, Mikey? Are you shaking in your boots?
Yeah, more like shaking my head in disbelief. Stick to your day job, you fool. Oh, wait, you don't really have a full-time job, do you?
Well, not during the day, at least. The night is reserved for my ghastly gags. That's a ghoul time job, you know. Greetings, fellow fiends. It is I, Mr. Robin, co-hosting this dumpster fire of a podcast. Admit it, you can't look away.
But there's nothing to look at. Just, can I put that in there?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're
I have ghostly gags myself.
We're broadcasting digitally from an undisclosed location somewhere in the depths of Oklahoma. And as always, I am joined by my trusty and collaborative partner in crime, the lovely, four-eyed freak phenom herself, Mikkel Murray Robinson, or as she's known around here, Mikey-on-the-Mic.
I've got to quit telling you stuff.
Say hello to our ghoulishly twisted listeners, Mikey.
Well, hello out there, you freaks. I'm not the only four-eyed freak. I'm just saying.
And let us not forget Cousin Fred and his two cohorts for today's noise-filled adventure, the notorious repo babe, Magdalene, and Fred's former flame, the hairdressing hydrologist, Gigi, whose reappearance at the compound has added a whole new level of chaos to our lives. They're here with us today, stealing precious years off my life and throwing candy corn at us as we podcast.
Which every once in a while, I'll open my mouth and they'll make one in, you know?
Yeah.
And I get chomp on some candy corn.
There you go, and you'll be as high as a kite on sugar by the time.
Ooh, it's going to be interesting.
Today, on episode 19 of Mr. Robin's Hood podcast, since we're moving into the spooky season, we're delving into the ancient and not-so-ancient history of Halloween, a favorite holiday of Mikey and me. As our loyal listeners undoubtedly know, October always comes to a close with Halloween, a spooky, scary time made particularly spooky and scary when the nation is haunted by a relentless onslaught of political attack ads in which basically every candidate for public office is depicted as a hideous, blood-sucking ghoul. I recently heard it said that Halloween is the only holiday that you get to dress any way you want and even act any way you want, as long as no one gets their eye put out and the law doesn't show up.
Which is one of my favorite things about Halloween is you can dress up and be somebody else for a day. And it's celebrated. People encourage it. I love dressing up like a man. I've had a lot of costumes where I was a man. It's real fun to be a man.
Have any pictures?
I do.
Yes.
Yes. We'll talk more about Mikey and her manly costumes later.
All righty. Well, maybe we should use one as a cover for the podcast.
We should. Me as Dr. Roxo.
Oh, very good.
Or the Goblin King.
Yeah.
I even had a package and a baby.
Excellent. It's weird about, and we were discussing this earlier, is the difference in different parts of the country, how people either still celebrate or they just kind of blow it off as another day. And out here in the plains, in rural America, Halloween is still pretty much celebrated. I mean, kids go out and they dress up and
people
they go
are
to
decorating. And
down on Maine, there's all kinds of stuff going on, like the big
giant
pumpkin drop.
Yeah, and they do a Main Street trick or treat. The kids can come out.
Yeah,
and their parents. It's a really great time. All the businesses hand out candy. It's great.
And back on the East Coast, that doesn't always happen. You don't see it as much. It's not as prevalent.
Are you saying they're kind of fuddy-duds on Halloween out there?
Everyone in the East Coast, and particularly Washington, D.C., everyone is so self-important that,
I was thinking it was, we don't want to get the candy with the drugs. But, who's going to hand out candy with drugs in it? That stuff's expensive. I mean.
A good point.
I've never understood that. I'm like, let's see. I don't think I would put drugs in candy and hand it out. That doesn't seem like lucrative thing to do.
Well, there was one Halloween. I was minding my own business, as I often do.
No, you don't.
Oh, okay.
But nice try.
And I was on my way to work, and it was just right at sunrise. And I was on a freeway, I-66, going into the district, if you're familiar with that area. And sure enough, some guy rolls past me, and I looked over, and it was a man wearing Spock ears. And that really struck me as just hilariously funny. And I just laughed my ass off all the way into the district about that. Because you just didn't see that on the East Coast. Nobody would go into work, all dressed up and stuff. So I figured that guy must be from Kansas or something.
Yeah, those weirdos from Kansas. Where I'm from.
Yeah.
Dick. I was born in Oklahoma, though. That's probably what's wrong with me.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah.
So just to give everyone a little background on the ancient history of Halloween, it's a holiday celebrated each year on October 31st. Halloween this year in 2024 will occur on a Thursday, October 31st. The tradition originated with the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, when people would light bonfires and wear costumes to ward off ghosts. The Celts, who lived 2,000 years ago, mostly in the area that is now Ireland, the United Kingdom, and northern France, celebrated their New Year on November 1st. In the 8th century, Pope Gregory III designated November 1st as a time to honor all saints. Soon, All Saints' Day incorporated some of the traditions of Samhain. The evening before was known as All Hallows' Eve, and later just shortened to Halloween. Over time, Halloween evolved into a day of activities like trick-or-treating, carving jack-o'-lanterns, festive gatherings, donning costumes, and eating treats. And Mikey, here's a fun fact for you. 1/4 of all the candy sold annually in the U.S. is purchased for Halloween.
I believe that. Because you got to have a lot of candy to hand out to those kiddos,
Yeah.
And then you have to have a whole other bag for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that you can eat from now until Christmas.
One of my, you were talking about the carving of jack-o'-lanterns. That's one of my favorite traditions of Halloween is carving jack-o'-lanterns. I like to, dig out the the seeds and clean them and roast them and make my own homemade pumpkin seeds. They're so good.
Oh.
My mom used to do that when I was a kid, and I've just kind of carried that on. My mom was a big in Halloween, but then also Christmas. She'd decorate. I mean, we had some creepy stuff when I was a kid. You came to our house, you were like, I don't know if I want to knock on these weirdos' door. They may pop out and scare me. She had this mat that you step on it and it would roar, you know, at you, and you'd jump. We'd watch the kids, we'd laugh. But when my parents had the Star Video, they got a Chucky doll when the Child's Play come out.
Yeah. Right.
I asked my mom not that long ago, I'm like, what happened to that? She's like, I don't know, I think I got rid of it. And I'm like, why would you do that? I want that. As a kid, I was like, that's creepy, but it would stick on the window.
You know? Yeah, I remember those.
And yeah, we had that, and then I think it was a Freddy Krueger poster that like you moved and he moved.
Yeah.
One of those that they got as promotion for when those movies came out. Anyhow, I just had to add that because kind of a special thing I remember about Halloween as a kid.
And you know, there's a lot of that stuff that translates into today's celebrations that actually came out of the ancient times. For instance, by AD 43, the Roman Empire had conquered the majority of Celtic territory. In the course of 400 years, they ruled the Celtic lands. 2 festivals of Roman origin were combined with the traditional Celtic celebration of Samhain. The first was Feralia, a day in late October when the Romans traditionally commemorated the passing of the dead. The second was a day to honor Pomona, the Roman goddess of fruit and trees. The symbol of Pomona is the apple, and the incorporation of this celebration into Samhain probably explains the tradition of bobbing for apples that is practiced today on Halloween.
Have you ever done that?
Yeah, it sucks.
It totally sucks. I did it once at some Halloween celebration, and I was like, I don't like this part. This game's dumb. I mean, it's fun watching other people do it, but then when you do it and you get up and you're like, why? Why?
Yeah. And you know, it's kind of interesting also that a lot of people are now, you see this a lot more now than when, for instance, I was a kid, so many years ago. They're incorporating their pets into Halloween.
Oh, I know.
Making them part of it. And even here in Woodward, Oklahoma, where we are recording this podcast.
In an undisclosed location.
In an undisclosed location. They used to have a pet parade. And people would dress up their animals and then kind of walk them around down there in Centennial Park. But I see that's not on the agenda this year.
When my dog was still around, R.I.P. Ace Roy III, he hated wearing clothes. Like, he had this sweater that whenever I got his hair shaved and he'd get cold, he'd tolerate it, but he hated it. You could tell he's like, why? And I dressed him up one time as a bumblebee for Halloween, and he was so pissed at me. And I was like, listen, I'll never do that again. But he was so cute. He was so cute in his little bumblebee outfit, but he was looking at me like, you are a wretched woman. Like, I don't like this holiday with you, you know?
So here's another fun fact. More people are buying costumes for their pets. Americans spent nearly $500 million on costumes for their pets in 2021, more than double what they spent in 2010.
Well, we can't leave them out, you know?
Yeah. No, that's very true.
Yeah, I just see myself trying to put my cats in a costume.
Oh, I would pay money to do that.
I have a black cat, though. She's already kind of costumed up. I'm like, we always bring her in early on Halloween just because she's black.
Yeah.
But
well, and you know, it's interesting because Mikey lives in a house that I lived next door to when I was a young whippersnapper. And my sister and I on Halloween would go trick-or-treating up and down 19th Street. And I actually got mugged for Halloween candy right in front of the house you now live in.
Oh, I have a story for you when you're done.
Oh, please share.
I'm sorry you got mugged out in front.
Yeah.
for your
Actually, it was
candy.
our gift shop manager's brother was one of them.
Oh,
Ah,
wow.
friggin' thug.
Yeah, because they just lived up the street.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So whenever we moved in there, which has been, 10, 12 years ago, maybe longer. I don't even know. I'm bad at math. But there was my neighbor kids, and then I ended up working for the guy at the radio station who he lived up the street too. And his son is quite a bit younger than me, but I ended up working with him, Branson, but he used to hang out with, I think he still hangs out with the oldest one of my neighbors. And whenever I moved in there, and at some point he told me that they called that house the scary house because for a long time, like, nobody lived there. My husband's grandparents owned it. They weren't renting anymore. So it just sat there and, was extra storage. And so they were telling me, they're like, yeah, the scary house. That's what we called it. The scary house on that block. So my house is kind of, like already dressed up for Halloween.
Yeah. There you go.
It's the scary house to the
It
kids.
is kind of. I mean, if you
It
think
is a little
about
creepy.
it's a really dark stucco color. It's a dark colored stucco on the outside.
Yeah.
And I suppose, unless it's just really lit up at night, it kind of sits back off the street in the shadows. And yeah, I could see that.
And it's been there since the early 1900s. So, I mean, it's earned the title. And then there's like all the land and the trees around it. And then you have my black cat kind of lurking amongst, killing all the creatures,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I live in Halloween. Who are you kidding? I am Halloween.
Good for you.
Carry on. Let's tell us more about
a little bit more here. In the late 1800s, there was a move in America to mold Halloween into a holiday more about community and neighborly get-togethers than about ghosts, pranks, and witchcraft. At the turn of the century, Halloween parties for both children and adults became the most common way to celebrate the day. Parties focused on games, foods of the season, and festive costumes. Parents in the late 1800s were encouraged by newspapers and community leaders to take anything frightening or grotesque out of Halloween celebrations. Because of these efforts, Halloween lost most of its superstitious and religious overtones by the beginning of the 20th century. By the 1920s and 1930s, Halloween had become a secular but community-centered holiday with parades and town-wide Halloween parties as the featured entertainment. Due to the high numbers of young children during the 50s baby boom, parties moved from town civic centers into the classroom or home, where they could be more easily accommodated. Between 1920 and 1950, the centuries-old practice of trick-or-treating was also revived. Trick-or-treating was a relatively inexpensive way for an entire community to share the Halloween celebration. Thus, a new American tradition was born and it continued to grow. Today, Americans spend an estimated, hold on to your garters, Gertie, $6 billion annually on Halloween, making it the country's second largest commercial holiday after Christmas.
Wow.
How about that?
That's pretty spectacular. Spooktacular, actually.
Spooktacular.
Ooh.
You know what's, I was, we take here at the museum. I just disclosed. We take little bits of newspaper articles from the past and we kind of play with them and then drop them onto social media. And there was one that was about kids stealing people's outhouses. And this was over, I think, in Winoka, if I remember correctly. Stealing the outhouses from behind people's houses. And I just thought that was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever heard. And I mentioned it to my father. Now, my dad grew up in Fargo. And according to him, he said, oh, that was pretty common. And he and his pals, the ones that had pickup trucks, would go around loading up the outhouses from people's properties, because they'd always sat at the back of the property. They'd load them up and they'd take them down onto the main street in Fargo and line them up all the way down the center of the street at, midnight or somewhere thereafter. Because, of course, they rolled up
a showcase of shitters.
Yeah.
Fun.
And because, of course, they rolled up the sidewalks in Fargo at probably 7:00. And he said it was the most funny thing for them to sit off from a distance, of course, and watch the next morning when people would be driving down Main looking for their outhouse so they could load it up and take it home.
I wonder how many people had to actually use it before they loaded it up.
Well, there's still a hole in the ground, I guess. Just nothing to sit on.
Guess that's true. Yeah. I was thinking they had buckets underneath it, but yeah, I guess there was a hole in the ground.
Oh, no, there was definitely a hole. In fact, my grandparents had an outhouse that was right next to the corral on the old place, the farm, the original homestead farm. And my grandfather preferred to go out there. They had indoor plumbing, but that was his thing. So, yeah, no, trust me, it's just a whole...
it is, very serene to poop in the woods, It's kind of not the worst thing that could ever happen.
We could probably do an entire podcast about pooping in the woods. What do you think?
Or on porches.
Or on porches. Oh, you beat me to another inside joke, folks.
Oh, I have to, or you'll get me every time.
Yeah.
So... As you talk about that, I grew up in a small town, actually probably smaller than Fargo for sure. I mean, maybe not back when your dad was roaming the streets of Fargo, Oklahoma, but we used to do some crazy stuff too. And I hate to talk about it because I feel like over the years, I've kind of just gotten away with it.
Yeah,
people are going to listen.
Statute of limitations.
They're going to know that I did it.
Or maybe there is a statute of limitation.
I don't know. I just don't want to disclose it. And I never did this, but there was a couple times that some other, kids or even young adults or I don't even know who exactly.
You protested too much.
Shh. I'm talking. And they would bring a hay bale and light it on fire and put it in the middle of Main Street. I never actually did that.
Of course.
Part. I did some other stuff. But like I said, I'm not going to say it because I'm scared to,
Well, it here in Woodward, it would get kind of wacky at times. In fact, by the time I was a junior, I think in high school, it was just getting completely out of control. We'd all meet down on, I think it was Broadmoor, and I can't remember the cross street. And, with people throwing eggs at houses and just carrying on, it was just ridiculous. And eventually the fire trucks would come through spraying kids with water cannons and then the sheriff would roll in and cops would fall out of the back of his car. It looked like the Keystone Cops, and they'd get after us. And there was one time I took off down an alley, just running as hard as I could. And I was maybe 120 pounds soaking wet at the time. And I ran into what I thought was a solid brick wall. It turns out it was an Oklahoma State trooper, and he was not happy. And he reaches down and grabs the front of my shirt, picks me up with one hand, puts me up against his face, and tells me to get out of his sight or he's taking me to jail. Dropped me, and I ran off, and that was the end of that night. But I spoke with someone a few years ago when I was doing a story for the Woodward News, and I had a chance to speak with a police officer. I can't even remember his name. And I was kind of walking through or talking about that, and he said, no. He said that all ended. There was a police chief who came in and just decided he was going to stop the nonsense. And so the first year that he was chief, when Halloween came around, they started loading kids up in cars and whatever vehicles the police had, took them downtown, called the parents, made the parents come get them. He said after that crap came to an end. That was it.
Just scared him a little bit.
Yeah.
And then their parents got onto him.
Oh.
I'm sure. One time and this wasn't on Halloween, but I got brought home by the cop, and what he told me is the punishment that your mom's going to give you, because he knew my mom, that your mom's going to give you is going to be a lot worse than me hauling you off to jail.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you're right. This sucks. Sure enough, I mean, when you got in trouble with my mom, you were in trouble. There was no ands, ifs, buts about it.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I can't disclose what I did on Halloween, because she would still ground me. I'm kidding. She wouldn't, but.
Oh, she probably would.
You don't know.
So, and I was looking back at, all of the sort of horror movies that
I love scary movies.
Oh, I do too. And
they're some of my favorite.
The campier, the better, as far as I'm concerned. I love just really cheesy, campy horror films.
Or like the scary movies.
Yeah.
Those ones.
But
parodies.
The one that really gets me, I mean, really gets me. I swear I force myself to watch it every stinking year. And I wind up having to turn all the lights on in the house. And that is the original Exorcist.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my.
That one is scary. I will give you that. When I was a senior, we had to do like a term paper over a movie. And so I decided I'm going to do it over a scary movie. Mm-hmm. And I did it over The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
I don't think maybe I have seen that.
Right. Well, the creepy thing about it is I had to go buy the movie at Walmart, right?
All right.
So I had to drive to Dodge City, Kansas. And so me and my friend drove up there, me and Zach, and we drove to Dodge City, Kansas, and I went into the Walmart and I bought this movie, and I'm writing a check for it, right?
Yeah.
My check number was 666. And I was like, oh, yeah. So I'm like, oh, just kind of, and then I didn't say anything. And the girl at the cash register, she looks at it and she's like, oh, did you see your check number? I'm like, yeah, I think you're going to notice. I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to skip one because that's not OCD for me.
Yeah.
I just can't. And so I just went through with it, hope for the best, go out to the parking lot, and I realize I'm in row number 6 that I'm parked in. So I tell my friend, I hope we make it home okay, because I'm just a little concerned. We get back. I start doing a little research because that is based on a true story. Uh-huh. And the girl's real name was very close to mine, which was creepy, like the spelling. I don't know if it was pronounced the same by any means, right. And then her birthday was the same as my little brother's, as far as the same month and day. And I was like, this is just getting weirder.
Yeah.
And then I went through the term paper. Everything went fine. I'm still here to talk about it, but it was just all these weird coincidences that happened. But
yeah, and I just wanted to kind of going back to a little bit of background here. It's interesting how masks came to be the thing to wear.
Oh yeah.
On Halloween, when it was believed that ghosts came back to the earthly world, people thought that they would encounter ghosts if they left their homes. To avoid being recognized by these ghosts, people would wear masks when they left their homes after dark so that the ghosts would mistake them for fellow spirits.
Interesting.
Today's Halloween ghosts are often depicted as more fearsome and malevolent. There, I got that. I knew that word. And our customs and superstitions are scarier too. We avoid crossing paths with black cats.
But I live with one.
And she lives with one.
I love her dearly.
And I'm sure it crosses your path frequently.
All the time.
Afraid that they might bring us bad luck.
Don't you ever look at me again like that when you talk about bad luck.
Oh, this idea has its roots in the Middle Ages when many people believed that witches avoided detection by turning themselves into black cats. And speaking of superstitions around Halloween, especially, we try to avoid breaking mirrors, stepping on cracks in the road, or spilling salt.
Do you remember that time I told you I broke like 7 mirrors?
Yeah.
Before I was like 17.
Yeah, you got a lot of karma wrapped up there.
Listen, and you have seen me eat some of that karma. I've had to take it home and Eat it. Lots.
But what about the Halloween traditions and beliefs that today's trick-or-treaters have forgotten all about? Many of these obsolete rituals focused on the future instead of the past and the living instead of the dead. In particular, many had to do with helping young women identify their future husbands and reassuring them that they would someday, with luck, by next Halloween, hopefully, be married. In 18th century Ireland, a matchmaking cook might bury a ring in her mashed potatoes on Halloween night, hoping to bring true love to the diner who found it.
Whoa, interesting. Some of this stuff I didn't even know about.
Yeah,
Halloween.
see? Learn something new when you hang out with Mr. Robin.
Yes, that's true. I have learned lots of new things by hanging out with Mr. Robin. That was perfect timing. That was perfect timing,
I hope
too.
that's being picked up in these mics.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm sure it is.
Okay.
I'm sure it is. Okay, this is getting a little weird that's laughing like that at us right now is all I can say.
Our friend Jeff.
Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about costumes, a little bit more in depth, because I absolutely love to dress up for Halloween. Yeah. But I also like the process of getting the pieces together and planning and creating, because it's a way to you can be creative. Like that's the fun thing about Halloween is you can create something, wear it, and just be somebody else. So some of my better costumes, I'd say, or ones that would stick out that are interesting, is when I was really quite little. I think I was 8, and my mom asked me, because she always asked, well, what do you want to be for Halloween? You know, as you got older and you could make those decisions, she'd ask me. I told her I wanted to be the Phantom of the Opera.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
And my dad was always notorious for like, let's go to the DMV and see, or no, the DAV. Not the DMV. We're gonna go get our driver's license on Halloween. I'm just the DAV, which was a thrift store, disabled American veterans. Yeah, they had this one in Wichita that we used to go to quite a bit, and we'd go down there and we'd look through and rummage through. And then my mom, she could make clothes, so she made a lot of our Halloweens or things for Halloween. And so, anyhow, this is freaking me out. Like, I can't even concentrate. Like, why are you yelling at me?
Well,
is this the dead coming through?
I think so. This may be Call of the Zombies or something.
Oh,
Gremlin Halloween sound effects.
Gremlin? Is that how Gremlin sounds? I don't remember that. Anyhow, back to my story. So I decide I want to be Phantom of the Opera. And so I get like an all like black pants and a black shirt. And I can't remember if my mom maybe made the hat or we found the hat. I can't remember. But for the mask, instead of me making a mask, she was like, we'll just paint your face half white and half black.
Oh, that's cool.
You know?
Yeah.
And that, you know, because that side with this is dark or whatever. So I'm like, okay, that's great. So we do that. By the time I come home, I'm just like, and she's like, why? And I was like, my face is gray. I had run around and went to all these doors, and obviously my makeup kind of mixed and it ended up being gray, and I was devastated, and I came home upset because I didn't look like the Phantom of the Opera anymore because my face went gray. So I was bummed out about that. But
you look like a sick Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, right.
Sickly.
Yeah, I should have played off of that. I was too young to have that good of a sense of humor. I think that I was just like, my Halloween's ruined, you know. But I just remember, you know, wanting to be Phantom of the Opera, which is probably unusual for somebody at 8 to want to be, but I'm that nerd. But some of the other ones, when I got older, you know, obviously I dressed up like a hippie one year, but as an adult, I did some good ones. I did Jareth the Goblin King, right? Which I love David Bowie. And I love The Labyrinth. The Labyrinth is probably my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. So, yeah, I dressed up like Jareth the Goblin King. You know, like I said, I had the package, I had the baby, the whole thing. And I dressed up like Dr. Roxo. So are you familiar with that?
I don't know.
There was a cartoon on Adult Swim called Metalocalypse.
Oh, yes.
That was the band Death Clock.
Yes.
And they have this rock and roll clown that does cocaine. And I just fell in love with his just get up. I'm like, that would make a great Halloween costume. And that's what I'm going to be one year. And so I did. I piecemealed that together, did some sewing, which I'm not real good at, had some help, had some assistance on that. But I think I won when Bandits and Barbies was still open. I won. I think I got second in the costume contest with that costume. And then I also, if you've seen Hook, the movie,
of course,
with Robin Williams and stuff, I dressed up like Rufio. Rufio. And so I love that movie too. So I dressed up like Rufio one year as well. So,
as I was growing up, we would trick or treat probably up till I was maybe 10 or 11. Then I just kind of blew it off. And I didn't really think much about it until we were living out in Anacortes, Washington. And we had this huge freaking house. And it had a big, great room in the middle and bedrooms on one side and the kitchen and dining room and stuff. So it was a great house for entertaining. We could bring a lot of people in there. And we decided one year we were going to do a Halloween party. And we invited a ton of people and they all showed up. Everybody was having fun. So that year I decided I was going to, because Mikey, you know me. I have this thing for Batman.
Yes, you do.
I'm Batman. No, not quite. Here, let me get. I'm Batman. That's better. So, anyway, I went out and I bought a costume online. I think this thing cost like $300. It was a complete Batman body armor.
The whole thing?
The body armor style Batman. It was George Clooney's Batman.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that was awesome looking costume.
Do you have pictures?
I don't know.
Ugh.
I don't know. But I scared the crap out of my poor dog, Boomer, at the time. When it arrived, I pulled the black cowl on and then started walking towards him, and the poor dog flipped. He was running away from me all through that house, and I was just chasing him. But anyway, and that costume was so cool looking. But the cowl, it was rubber, And so the cowl was just incredibly hot.
Oh, I'm sure.
But finally, at some point, I pulled that off and just kept the rest of the pieces on. And that was the last time I ever actually dressed up for.
I'm going to change that. I'm on a mission to change that. You know, one year Brett and I dressed up as Bob and Linda Belcher from Bob's Burgers.
Yeah.
And so I want to talk about, because Bob's Burgers has some really funny Halloween episodes where the kids, their costumes are brilliant costumes. They like mesh two together, but I'm going to have to Google that. But I don't want to Google that because I have something I've already Googled that kind of ties into costumes.
Okay.
If you're ready for that.
Lay it on me.
So, when I was at the radio station, and we would always talk about the most popular costumes of the year, based on what was bought and everything.
Right.
So I found this site that was talking about the experts are predicting this year's 20 most popular Halloween costumes, right?
Right.
So do you want to take a guess at what you think a few of them may be?
J-Lo and Ben Affleck.
I don't know. Is that the only one you're guessing?
I'm trying to think. I guess.
I mean, think of things that were popular in the last year. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's
J-Lo and Ben Affleck. They're daily. Oh, what about the Prince and that woman he married, Prince Harry, and Meghan, whatever the hell her name is, Markle?
Oh, no, I don't know. Oh, let me just tell you.
Okay, go ahead.
You're really sucking at this.
Sorry.
It's okay. Beetlejuice.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's one of them.
Yeah.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh, very good.
Disney Descendants.
Huh. That I don't know, I guess.
Taylor Swift and other pop icons.
Shit. And is there a Jason Kelsey with her?
It doesn't say that, but that would be good. Couples like dressing up like Taylor and Wednesday.
Yeah.
I mean, Wednesday,
okay. Addams Family.
Bridgerton. Minions. Inside Out 2 here. Wicked. Ghostbusters.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Harley Quinn and Joker, which I think is just popular every year, to be honest with you.
Oh, man, that would be cool.
The horror movie favorites.
Yeah.
Like Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Superheroes and villains, obviously. I think that's every year. Aliens, anime, Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all.
And just your good old classic Halloween costumes, right? Your Western themed costumes, witches, disco. I didn't know that was a popular one. Angels and devils. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So there you have it. Thought I'd just add that because that's always fun to think what people may dress up. Oh, let me look up the Bob Burger thing. Because those kids,
it'd be really cool to do Harley Quinn and the Joker.
Yeah. I've seen some people do it so well, too.
Mm-hmm.
I had this couple come out to a Halloween party I hosted once at the Elks, and they did that, and they did a good job. I was impressed.
That was another movie that the Joker, I haven't seen. I don't think the other one, the newer one, is out yet, but it's coming. And I don't know. When I first watched that movie, the first hour of it was kind of like, oh my God, is this ever going to end? Should I turn this off? And then suddenly you get in that second hour and it's like a completely different film.
Right.
And it's pretty wild. I don't want to ruin it for anyone, but it's definitely worth watching. And I'm looking forward to the new Joker with Harley Quinn in it.
Okay. Yeah. Same. I found it finally.
Oh, good.
Okay. So as I was telling Robin actually the other day that one of these days I'm going to have to actually like dress up like some of the costumes that the Tina, Jean, and Luis have in the Bob's Burgers episodes. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, they're brilliant. So in episode 8, wow, you're rubbing off on me.
Oh.
Season 8, episode 3, Tina dresses up as the Wolf of Wharf Street.
Uh-huh.
Oh. And Gene in season 10, episode 4, he is Fiona Applesauce.
That would be creepy.
Oh, and then let's see. Luis in season 8, episode 3, while Tina's being the Wolf of Wharf Street, Luis is being No Country for Old Men.
Wow. Another great film.
Yeah.
That also, I think, is a Coen Brothers, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, that's just goodness. Oh, and then, okay. Tina in season 3, episode 2 is the mommy mummy. So she's herself as a mummy and she's got her baby.
Oh, that's great.
Oh.
A little baby wrapped up in the mummy wrappings.
Okay, this is the one I laughed super hard at. Season 12, episode 3. Tina was the Sherlockness monster. So she was like the Loch Ness monster, but like Sherlock.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it's
probably
brilliant.
with a deer stalker cap and
a group costume here in season 13, episode 6, Twister.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and Louis season 10, episode 4 was the Born Identity.
Wow.
I mean, it's just, Tina's are funny. Season 7, episode 3, she was a sand witch. So she was dressed up like a witch between 2 pieces of bread.
That is a good one.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so many. Oh, this one. When Jean is Queen Latifah. I mean, you just can't get any better than some of this. I mean, oh, okay. This one too. I just can't stop. I just can't stop. Tina in season 3, episode 4, None of Your Business. So she's dressed up like a nun that's businessing. Which she had like a briefcase and stuff in that one. And then this one I laughed so hard at. This is the same season 9, episode 4. So as Tina's being None of Your Business.
Yeah.
Luis is being dragon with the girl tattoo. Instead of girl with the dragon tattoo. So she's dressed up like a dragon. And then she's got a tattoo she drew of a girl on her arm. I mean, just
really great.
Just brilliant stuff. Oh, when Luis was Peter Pan's labyrinth. she's got the Peter Pan outfit with
yeah.
Oh, anyhow. And there's more than that, but I'll just stop there. But.
So tell us, Mikey, what are you planning to dress as this year?
Well, it was gonna be at first a rodeo clown, just because I got inspired at this year's rodeo. Because I was like, I mean, that would be easy because I'm super busy this year, so I was thinking something easy. But I'm actually probably going to do a couple's costume with one of my coworkers at the Pat as the Blades of Glory. I'm gonna get some Heelys and we're gonna learn the whole. It's gonna be a thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That'll bring in some tips.
I hope so.
Oh, good for you.
Come down and see me bust my ass
at the Pat.
At the Pat. I'll be carrying around a bucket so I can pay for my injuries. No. So
give her money. She needs it.
I need all the money.
Wow.
No, it's cool.
So, Mikey, this has been a fun, albeit indulgent, episode of this podcast. Don't you agree?
I would have to agree. I mean, I love Halloween, so no matter how this went, I was going to love this.
Yeah. And that's another great podcast in the books and soon to be on the air. If you have any questions for either Mikey or myself about today's episode or any other darn thing, you can email us at mr.robin@mrrobinshood.com or mikey@mrrobinshood.com. Also, you can find us on Facebook at Mr. Robin's Hood Podcast.
Like, follow, all the things.
Yeah.
Share, all the things.
Do it. As always.
Or we're going to come take your outhouse and put it on Main Street.
Yeah, we're gonna drop it on Main with your name on it.
Yes.
As always, you can also reach out to Mikey or me via Podophone.
The Podophone.
At 580-827-0472. Maybe you just want to get something off your chest or you're feeling some butt pain because of something we said during the podcast.
You're just offended at Mikey dressing up like a man every year.
I want to see those pictures. Give us a call, but know that we're not likely to answer because we're quickly becoming international podcast stars for whatever reason in Germany and Guatemala and are developing a following worldwide, but we don't have staff yet. You can leave a voicemail. Text us if you have a question, concern, complaint, compliment, suggestion, whatever. Just don't be a dick about it. By the way, our next episode is something we're trotting out to fill the gaps between our regular episodes on the 1st and 15th of every month. Starting in October, we'll be dropping what we're calling in-between episodes. Clever name, huh?
The in-between. He forgot that part.
I did. On the Fridays of the weeks following the 1st and the 15th. These will be made up of Mr. Robin's old Cosmic City blog posts, all of which are pretty damn funny.
Yeah, and also you'll get to know Gigi and some of those characters we talk about a little bit better.
Yeah.
And why we call it the compound.
Yeah. You can look for the first of these the in-between episodes on October 11th.
Kind of sounds spooky.
Yeah.
The in-between.
The in-betweens. On October 11th, which happens to be the day after Mr. Robin's birthday.
His first birthday.
Yeah. What? Expensive gifts are happily accepted, by the way. No, I mean, I'm 45.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I tell myself.
You tell yourself you age yourself by 10 years?
No. Yes. Isn't that what everybody does? Come on.
Well, it's so she can get drinks.
I'm just trying to scare people.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So we'll be talking about the in-between episodes more on Facebook. So keep an eye out for that.
And if you're not following us, you need to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Why the
Or
hell
you're
aren't
not
you?
even going to know this crap.
In the meantime, tell all your friends to listen to this podcast as though their lives depend on it.
Or we will come into your dreams at night, and I will bring my black cat with me.
Yeah.
And it will be a whole thing, and you'll be so scared
And I'll be there going,
that you'll poop your house.
I'll be there going, I'm Batman.
And then there's Robin. Being Batman.
As always, you can stream or download episodes of Mr. Robin's Hood podcast wherever you usually find that sort of nonsense. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, the Podbean app, Apple Podcasts, and Podchaser. You can also stream them directly from our Podbean website at and this is all pressed together, Mr. Robin's Hood podcast.podbean.com. And that, by the way, is free.
It's free. All of this just brilliantness that we spit at you over this podcast is all free.
Free.
We do this for free. We torture you for free.
However, if you want to send us sackloads of cash, we will happily accept that.
Yeah.
So now
I'll hide it under my bed. The sack's full of cash.
So we'll close now by reminding everyone, as we always do, to stay hungry, stay foolish, and most importantly, get your freak on. Happy Halloween,
everybody.